ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय Ramakrishna te Namah. Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye. Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. Let us bow down to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, who established universal religion, the Supreme God incarnate of this modern age. We bow down to Swami Vivekananda, Master of Renunciation, the great sage, the embodiment of existence, knowledge and bliss absolute, and the remover of the distress. Today's topic, Swami Vivekananda, spiritual bridge between East and West. Swamiji was born in 1863 on January 12th and lived until July 4th, 1902. Just 39 years of his life on this earth. How much tremendous impact he generated in the humanity. It is remarkably unique. Sri Ramakrishna trained him completely in this task of spreading the gospel of Vedanta in the West. Hitherto the West did not know what exactly spirituality was meant. It was for the first time Swamiji went to the West in order to teach this most wonderful message of potential divinity of every being. He was well suited for this mission. He had studied Western science totally well, and he had studied the philosophy of the Indian system, and he had bright intellect to compare the different aspects of religions in the world, and he came out asserting emphatically the religion of the Upanishads and the philosophy of Vedanta in a manner that appealed to modern man. All his talks were highly tempered with scientific inquiry. All his talks were rational in its outlook. There was no scope for any kind of superstition. There is nothing of dogmatism or fanaticism while he spread this message of Vedanta. He just gave the spiritual gems to the world. He just showed them the real gem of spirituality, that is Vedanta. And he asserted that in order to achieve real freedom, real peace, real joy, is to realize and experience this glorious Vedantic truth, that each one was essentially divine. Sri Ramakrishna intuitively knew that his disciple Swami Vivekananda was one of the great 7 rishis whose assignment was to remove the miseries of mankind, physical, mental, moral, and spiritual. Sri Ramakrishna chose the correct person to spread this gospel of Vedanta in the West. And Sri Ramakrishna gave this unique spiritual personality to the world. Swami Vivekananda, he travelled mostly by foot from the Himalayas to Cape Comorin in India and learnt first hand about the conditions of different strata of society and their needs at first hand. He wanted to know by direct contact with the people in the country. And so his heart was full of sympathy, full of kindness, full of compassion, full of love. He struggled very much. He poured out his whole being in order to awaken the spirituality in the people. And he came to know that people, the vast majority of the people, don't have sufficient bread to eat. They don't have sufficient education to overcome challenges in life. Swamiji was well aware of this. So, his message to the East was to educate every being in the country before you talk of religion to them. Concentrate on educating the whole mass who are in total ignorance. So they are suffering without making noise. But it cannot go in this fashion forever. There will be a great revolution. People will not tolerate anymore their hopeless condition. How it was true, we are seeing every day today how the country is boiling with millions of problems. We don't have proper leadership. We don't have proper organization. We don't have proper determination. So, we are passing through tremendous misery as far as the living conditions in the country. So, the first thing to be done for the upliftment of the country is to educate them. There should not be a single child without education. And he emphatically said this. Education need to build up physical strength, become strong physically, then rise up, become strong mentally, rise up again, become strong intellectually. Then only you will understand the spiritual truths of the Upanishads. So, he talked about education and bread to the people in the East, but he talked immensely about spirituality in the West, because he was overwhelmed to see the people in this country living in very good condition. They don't have to bother about their food and education. And another thing Swami Vivekananda observed was their tremendous zeal in work. Work ethics is supreme in the West. That Swami Vivekananda appreciated. If at all these people take to yoga, they become the best karma yogins of the world. They have got all equipment, all faculties. Everything is favorable to them. They should be fed with healthy, good seeds of spirituality. And that Swami Vivekananda gave to the West. And that was the gospel of Vedanta. It is thrilling to see this, how he influenced to the maximum extent the intelligentsia of the time. He put the whole of religion in practice. In a few words, each soul is potentially divine. Concentrate upon this idea again and again. Always think you are divine essentially. Never for a moment condemn yourself as a hopeless being. So the first message which Vivekananda gave to the whole world, which he broadcasted, was the divinity, the potential divinity of every being. Then the goal is to manifest this divine divine within. It's all right, you are aware of the potentiality of divine in yourself. But simple awareness is not enough. You have to see how the potentiality manifests fully in all its glory. It should come out from the avyakta state to the vyakta state, from the unmanifested condition to manifested state. So, one has to work hard to realize this goal. That is the reason we are born in this world. So, utilize all your energy and resources in achieving this goal. Practice whatever method, whatever yoga you want. Either karma yoga or bhakti yoga or raja yoga, any yoga you want. Either one or more. What is needed is you have to practice it zealously with tremendous shraddha. And the result would be you will be free in this very world, in this very body. What the Vedanta calls it as Jivan Mukta. You become liberated while you are embodied being. You are fully aware of your reality, then the game is over for you and you enjoy the remaining part of your life, sharing that joy with humanity, sharing your love. You feel everyone is a part and parcel of your own being. Then you develop a concept of universal love. You will never hate anyone, any creature in this world. You simply love them. You don't know how to hate. You reach that state. Nothing but love comes through your personality. This is the whole of religion. Religion of love. So when you try to manifest your divine quality, you are able to give the message of the religion of love. This is the whole of religion. Doctrines or dogmas, rituals or books or temples, these are all but secondary details. How very clearly, very pointedly, Swamiji has given this message of Vedanta. It is astounding. Any person in this world who is sincere, who is seeking spirituality, will definitely appreciate and immediately follow the teachings of Swami Vivekananda. Then he pointed out that study of philosophy would be quite inadequate without character building, without proper spiritual disciplines. It is this, the spiritual disciplines, character formation, they are responsible for giving experience of God. And while he was talking to the American audience, he said very clearly, the Hindu refuses to call you sinners, ye divinities on earth. Sinners? With these words, he struck the mightiest blow on the whole structure of soul degenerating, cowardice producing, negative, pessimistic thoughts, and set in motion a new wheel of dharma, of spiritual energism, freedom, conquest and creativity, of mastery over nature, inner and outer, of fearlessness, strength, love and service. Strength, love and service. In one word, true universalism. It's a sin to call a man a sinner. It's a standing libel on human nature. Come up, O lions, shake off the delusion that you are sheep. You are souls immortal, spirits free, blessed and eternal. You are not matter. You are not bodies. Matter is your servant, not you the servant of matter. This is the Vedantic method of bringing about moral edification and spiritual elevation, and emphasize the teaching that man is potentially divine. The message of the Swami, that in man there is the eternal Atman, the Self, which has no beginning, which has no end, light without a shadow, the source of all strength and courage, purity and holiness, knowledge and wisdom, is fraught with immense possibilities for the future. The revelation that the same Brahman, God, dwells in all beings, has found beneficial expression in his conception of service as worship. The Swami taught that when we look upon the suffering man as a manifestation of the divine, as a being in whom there is the same soul as in us, our service to him becomes transformed into worship. When you do service to suffering people with this spiritual attitude, you feel a kind of reverence and love in the act of your service. That becomes worship, as it were. All service goes to the divine in man. And it is therefore a blessing when we are afforded an opportunity to serve the sufferers by removing their needs, physical, mental, moral or spiritual, with a view to translating into practice this ideal of service. Swami Vivekananda founded the great Ramakrishna mission for working out his program of all-round service to the needy. He actually prepared a band of monks who would totally dedicate their whole life in the service of humanity. He would tell them, each one of them, he would call and tell, look, forget your realization or forget your nirvikalpa samadhi for the time being. Give your whole life in the service of humanity. I take care of your realization. I will grant you the realization. You know, in our Hindu system, the person who has realized the truth can give to anyone he wants just by look, just by touch. Sri Ramakrishna did that. Swami Vivekananda had the same power. Sri Ramakrishna told Vivekananda, well, I don't want you to get lost in Nirvikalpa Samadhi and of no use to humanity. I don't want you to be in that state. I know you are quite qualified. I know you are aspiring for that Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But please understand, you have come to do mission. You have come to fulfill my mission. Serve the humanity. Then I will open the door to spiritual realm. Till then I keep the key with me. Like that Sri Ramakrishna told Vivekananda, same way Vivekananda is telling the people, telling these monks who prepared, who organized these monks and told them, look, dedicate your life. Whole day, whole night, just erase yourself in serving the humanity. Don't think of anything else. Afterwards, I will open the key for your God realization. That is Vivekananda's heart for the humanity. His whole heart was bleeding with love. He could not tolerate keeping quiet even for a moment. When people are suffering, do you want to enjoy yourself exclusively without concern for others? I don't approve. That is Vivekananda's personality. The practice of this ideal results not only in objective utility, but also in subjective purification, as service to the divine in man purifies and uplifts the man who serves, and also creates a favorable atmosphere for the ennobling and edification of the man who is served. Thus, we see Swami Vivekananda imparted the Vedantic teaching that everyone is potentially divine and that man should serve his brother man who has the same soul in him. So, the very prominent teaching of Swami Vivekananda, from the practical spiritual point of view, the service of man is to be equated with the service of God. The service of man is to be equated with the service of God. That's the beauty of Swami Vivekananda's interpretation of Vedanta. Swamiji wanted the East to learn 4 lessons from the West. Great lessons they are. Swamiji recognized it. One is science, second is organization, third is capacity for unremitting toil, fourthly, sense of equality. So, Swamiji says to the people in India, go, sit at the feet of the Westerner and learn from them about science, about organizing things, and so on. In the same way, the Western also should learn religion and spirituality by sitting at the feet of the Oriental. It's a sharing. That's the way how to harmonize our life, sharing one another. He also exhorted Indians to learn from the Europeans the art of gathering together all scattered forces, bringing them to a focus, and from there getting the accumulated energy to radiate in different directions according to need. He wanted Indians to acquire the capacity for unceasing work. When he traveled all over India, he found people are idling the time. Even the people who are assigned with work, they waste their time. 50% of the work time is wasted in idle gossip, absenting themselves from the work. Very little work they do, even if they are assigned with the job. So Swamiji scolded them very severely. And he pointed out to the Westerners, see how energy flows constantly like a current from the dynamo of modern Europe. And then Swamiji strongly advised the people of India to imbibe that sense of equality which obtains in European society. If the Indians have so much to learn from the West, the Westerners have to imbibe the spirit of peace and serenity from India. Because what he saw in the West, life in the West was hectic and characterized by endless hurry and flurry, mad activity, which knows not whither it is directed, blind ambition, disappointment, frustration, and a general imbalance. In order to avoid these evils and cultivate equilibrium and balance, the people in the West will have to appreciate more and more the ideal of spirituality and practice more and more the art of meditation and contemplation as a matter of duty in their daily life. Spiritual ideas must be given to the mind every day. It is very important. Just as you take food every day, just as you do secular activities every day, you must have spiritual activity every day in some form or other. Swami Vivekananda, with his prophetic vision, indicated the religion of the future in the West. Materialism prevails in Europe today. The salvation of Europe depends on a rationalistic religion and the non-duality, the oneness, the idea of the impersonal God is the only religion that can have any hold on any intellectual people. It comes whenever religion seems to disappear and irreligion seems to prevail. And that is why it has taken ground in Europe and America. And referring to Indians, as I said earlier, Swamiji said, there is not a single problem that cannot be solved by the magic touch of education. He exhorted Indians to educate the masses and bring about the uplift of women. And I read in the newspaper recently that one who got the Nobel Prize, Amartya Sen, Prime Minister called him to take his suggestion how to improve our country economically. What he said was very striking. He said, please educate all the people. How nice. He has spoken what Swami Vivekananda told many years back. And it is true. It is true. Several thousands of people are without education. First, educate them. If you are seriously concentrating upon the economic improvement, educate the people. Make the education mandatory. Make it a subject of the federal government. They say it's a concurrent list. The whole education must be taken over by the central government. And it should be directly under the hands of the government to see everyone gets education. And if necessary, you have to find out funds for educating the masses free of cost. And that is exactly true. So long as the millions live in hunger and ignorance, I hold everyone a traitor, who having been educated at their expense, pays not the least heed to them. These are the words of Swamiji. And then, referring to women, Swamiji said, the women must be properly educated. They should learn the sciences and the arts and receive a liberal education. At the same time, he was very emphatic that our Indian women should emulate Sita, Savitri, Ahalyabai, Gargi, Maitri, and other great women and heroines of the country. Swami Vivekananda's mission was both national and international. He made no distinction of race, nation, creed, color, caste or sex. The whole world was his home. He would say, what is India or England or America to us? We are the servants of God, who by the ignorant is called man. We are the servants of that God who by the ignorant is called man. He expressed his wish in the following words. When will that blessed day dawn, when my life will be a sacrifice at the altar of humanity? His mission on the east and the west was to rouse men and women to an awareness of the divine nature and the unity of man, which alone can bring peace to this world torn with hatred and strife. Then, referring to the religions of the world, he said, no religion was superior to another, and that all religions have the same cardinal principle of truth. As several rivers flow and ultimately merge themselves in the great ocean, so all religions lead to the same eternal and inevitable goal. Thus he established harmony among religions of the world. All religions reach the same goal. That is how he established equality among different religions. Everyone is equal. No one is superior to another. That concept, it's a unique concept. Respecting every religion, then you feel tremendous love towards all religions. In his comprehensive message, Science and Religion, Reason and Faith, the secular and the sacred, the modern and the ancient, and the East and the West became unified. And he himself was the personification of the union. His life and message have given the necessary impetus for the ushering in of a new era in the history of the civilization of man. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, one of the great leaders, he said Columbus had discovered the soil of America, but Vivekananda, her soul. In Swami Vivekananda, we find the ideal of Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. He is a living example of Vedanta in all its different branches. The Upanishads teach us certain facts about reality and our relation with it. Tattvamasi, thou art that. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman. Prajnanam Brahma. Brahman is consciousness. All these statements mean that man or woman, the individual soul, the universe and God are in the ultimate analysis one and the same pure consciousness. These Upanishadic truths were realized by Swami Vivekananda. Thus, the doctrines of the divinity of the human soul and spiritual oneness of universe became the very breath of his life, as it were. He undoubtedly wore a body, but in that body he played his part on the world stage in a unique way. And this uniqueness of his role consists in the fact that he was all the time flaming in awareness of universal consciousness. This awareness makes his philosophy of life a unique one. He felt behind him a spiritually illuminating, intellectually satisfying, and socially uplifting philosophy. In his philosophy, Vivekananda made transcendentalism answerable to human needs and human needs answerable to transcendentalism. His realism is concerned with the reality itself. Hence, it is not different from idealism. Swamiji has said many things about spirituality. To study some of them, Swamiji said, he indeed is a yogin who sees himself in the universe and the whole universe in himself. I call that person a real yogin. Not one atom in the universe can move without dragging the whole world with it. There cannot be any progress without dragging the whole world along with it. There cannot be any progress without the whole world's following in its wake. And it is becoming clearer every day that the solution of any problem can never be attained on racial or national or any narrow ground. No individual or nation can live by holding itself apart from the community of others. Whenever such an attempt has been made under false notions of greatness, policy or holiness, the result has always been disastrous to the one who thus secluded himself. Each is responsible for the evil everywhere in the world. Not one can be happy until all are happy. Vivekananda discovered and pointed out this one great fact, that when the central illumination of life, which is the knowledge of the Atman Brahman equation, is lost, life and civilization become cluttered with contradictions and assailed by conflicts ending into futilities. Therefore, Swami Vivekananda worked in the very heart of human consciousness and strove to awaken the soul of man. He knew it for certain that once the soul was awakened in a man, all contradictions and conflicts between the absolute and the relative, the past and the present, the new and the old, the head and the heart, science and religion, reason and faith, east and west would vanish. He proclaimed forcefully, Klebhyam asmagama partha. Yield not to unmanliness. Nayamatma balahinena labhyaha. Atman is not attained by one who has no strength. Uttishtata jagrata prapyavaran nibodhata. Arise, awake and stop not till the goal is reached. Abhihi, abhihi. Be fearless. Be fearless. These Vivekananda dinned into the languid ears of confounded humanity. For he knew that all our sins and sufferings, crimes and cruelties, exploitations, oppressions in the world originated from fear which was born of the ignorance about the Atman Brahman equation. Strength, he spoke to the oppressor, the powerful. Strength, he spoke to the oppressed and the weak. To both of them he spoke strength. Strength, he knew, could liberate all, the captives of freedom who make slaves of men, and captives of slavery who make brutes of men. Strength is the realization of oneness of art that exists. On this enduring foundation of the knowledge of Atman, Swami Vivekananda sought to build his edifice of human understanding and solidarity. Thus we recognize Swami Vivekananda as a spiritual bridge between East and West, integrating the whole humanity, bringing peace and harmony among all religions of the world, spreading the message of Vedanta. What is that? Unity in diversity. If anybody asks you, please tell as brief as possible what is Vedanta, we can very definitely say unity in diversity. That is Vedanta. How true, how unique Swami Vivekananda gave this message to the whole world. It's a remarkable and thrilling experience to read Swami Vivekananda's life and works. How tremendously Vivekananda worked for this spreading of the message of Vedanta. And he said, well, at the advent of Sri Ramakrishna, the Satya Yuga has already started. Satya Yuga, you know there are 4 yugas. Satya Yuga, Treta, Dwapar, Kali. We are in the last Yuga. After Kali comes Satya. In Satya Yuga, the beauty is people follow the universal concept of religion. The more and more you see people coming in this direction, the Satya Yuga is starting to come up. That's the way how we can very remarkably live happily, peacefully and joyfully, helping one another. There should not be any reason for quarreling or hating one another. The moment the word hate comes, you are away from religion. Whatever reason you may give, fact is, you are going away from religion. Don't give any reason, don't hate, that's all. Don't give reason. That is how Swami Vivekananda brought this message of Vedanta to the West. In a way, he brought practical spirituality to the West. So, all is within. The divinity which we are seeking in heaven, in temples, is within us. If we see it outside, it is because we have it within. Each soul is a spark of the divine light. Seeing this divine light is seeing God Himself. How to get this experience? By concentration. It is a lamp that lights the darkness. Let us dispel the darkness of ignorance by the light of knowledge. Thank you. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. May the Divine Spirit protect us, guide us, give us strength and right understanding. May we not hate one another. May love and harmony be with us all. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. May the Divine Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we work in harmony with great vigor. May our study be illuminating and fruitful. May we not hate each other. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.